Hey, how's it going? So I'm Chip Appel, and today my family and I are going to talk about some of the smallest living things that God has made that are incredibly diverse, amazingly awesome. They're called microbes, and microbes perform a variety of functions. And one of the main things that they do is they take already small things and they make them even smaller so that bigger things like animals, like us, like plants, can consume them and use them to build their tissues and to grow. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about how big microorganisms are. So if you take something that's really small in your body that you can look at, so like take a look at your thumbnail. So your thumbnail thickness is about 1 millimeter. Okay, so a typical microorganism, if you can imagine dividing that like the long ways that it is, 1,000 times. So a typical microorganism is about 1,000 times smaller than that. Right? It's pretty crazy, right? And these microbes are critical for life. Without these microorganisms, life does not exist. And God made all these microbes. So what that means is that if you placed 1,000 microorganisms side by side, would that be about as thick as your thumbnail? Yeah, that'd be about as thick as your thumbnail. It's pretty crazy, right? Okay, so I'm going to share some fun facts about microbes, and actually my kids are going to share some fun facts about microbes for you. So first of all, Maggie.
In 1 drop of water, there are 10 million microbes. And in 1 handful of soil, there's about 10 billion microbes. That is more than all the people on planet Earth. Also, don't ever call it dirt. It's soil, and it's sacred.
How many microorganisms do you think there are, like, for example, in Pastor Paul's body? Think there's more, less than a handful of soil, less or more than a drop of water? Beatrice, what do you think?
A lot more.
What do you think, Maggie?
More.
You're right. So there's 100 trillion microorganisms in a typical person's body. So not just Pastor Paul, but anybody's body. That's crazy, right? So we're going to talk about one just like amazing microorganism. And this amazing microorganism, actually, I have a picture of it on my shirt right here. And if I turn around, I also have a picture of it on the back of my shirt. So this organism is called a tardigrade. And tardigrades are incredibly resilient organisms. They're called water bears, and not because they're a bear by any stretch, but because mostly they're associated with water. And these organisms are super resilient. So that means that they can withstand all different kinds of harsh environments that they live in. So they've been found at the top of Mount Everest. They've been found in the deepest parts of the ocean, which is, I think, the Mariana Trench, right? They've been frozen for 30 years. And when they are brought back or when they're thawed out after 30 years, they come back to life. They've been blasted off into space. And when they come back from being in space, and not even like in a special chamber or anything like that, but when they come back from being in space, they're still alive. They can live without water for 10 years or more. So scientists did a test where they studied how long these organisms can live. And so they withstand all this amazing environmental change and really difficult circumstances. And God made them, right? God made them for his purposes and to glorify him through the creation that he's made. And the thing is that all these organisms that we've talked about, we've only talked about one, right, of these trillions of microorganisms that exist. We've only talked about one. But the most important organism or living thing that God made is what, do you think? What do you think, Beatrice?
Us.
Yeah, Maggie, what do you think?
Us.
Right. Maggie is hosting and Beatrice is hosting 100 trillion microorganisms, right? But they are the most important thing that God's made. You are the most important thing that God has made. That's pretty awesome.
Okay, so we got the idea for this Sunday school topic from A book that we read is a devotional called Indescribable, and it's by Louis Giglio, and this says Indescribable 100 Devotions About God and Science, and it's one that we highly recommend because it's just really great. So the one we did today was called The Supreme Survivor. Can you see it? The Supreme Survivor, and it's all about the tardigrade. So most of it is stuff Chip already talked about, but I'm just going to read the last paragraph that ties it a little more into God, and we have some Bible verses to go with it. So, and how much more will God do for you, his most prized creation? In the world, you'll face troubles, temptations, and fears, so fierce that you might think you can't survive. But you can because God is on your side. There's no trouble he can't handle. Matthew 19:26.
Jesus looked at them and said, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible."
There's no temptation he can't help you defeat. 1 Corinthians 10:13.
No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it.
And there's no need to worry or fear. Matthew 6:25 and 26.
Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, or about your body and what you will wear. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they?
Because he will give you everything you need, not only to survive, but to thrive as his treasured child. God created you to be an extreme survivor, and he's with you no matter what the conditions.
And so, just remember this. Like, God has created an incredible universe. But of all the things that he has created, you are the most important thing, right? You're the most precious thing that God has made, which is incredibly awesome. So thanks for watching and for listening. We look forward to seeing you sometime soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye!